Hello and welcome to another episode of the On the Lead podcast produced by In the Money Media in conjunction with the Jockey Club. Peter Thomas Fornatale here on the In the Money Media side, and very happy to right away welcome in my co-host coming off a buzzy and fun weekend in Kentucky, Shannon Kelly. Shannon, how are things?
I'm exhausted. I this was my first derby, so I did not know what I was getting myself into. But I'm glad I was there and it was amazing. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about the race itself, but 2 days of unbelievable racing at Churchill Downs. And I was just glad to be one of those thousands and thousands of fans that were there.
Every derby has an interesting story, but this year's derby had a particularly interesting story, a result that I know from people in the industry, from horse players, we were just tickled by, and we're very happy to have the racing manager for Phipps Stable joining us here now. Daisy Phipps Pulito, how are you today? Are you still floating above the sky, or are you back on terra firma by now?
No, this has been fantastic. It's been a whirlwind, but it's been fantastic, and I hope this feeling stays for a very long time, and I wish everybody could feel it because it is awesome.
Racing is a family business. In the press conference after the race, Daisy Ogden talked about all of your family members that were there, and the throwback to when Orb won. You serve as the racing manager of Phipps Stable. Did you grow up knowing that you'd stay in the business? When did that moment occur to you that you were going to do this?
I mean, we were lucky enough as kids to grow up. It's what we did on the weekends. We didn't do travel sports. We went to the racetrack and watched the horses run. Like that's what we did, and that's what we loved to do. And thankfully, when we were growing up, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, my grandfather and my father had some amazing horses. So, there was Easy Goer and Seeking the Gold and Personal Ensign, Miner's Mark, Dancing Spree, My Flag, like you can go down the list, and that's what we grew up with. That, and that was before a lot of the syndicates and the super trainers. We were that then. And we were blessed enough to be part of that, and they wanted us to be a part of that, and the thrills and the memories of that is something that is really special to my family, and why I love it, why my siblings love it, why my mom loves it, and why Saturday was such a special day for us and the Violas, because we don't go to the sale and buy horses that often, and to have a homebred and to give our kids that thrill. I mean, they are all in, and this is our Phipps Stable's 100th year anniversary this year, and that we got to do that with our children. They're so fired up about what's going on right now. There's been a lot of stuff on X about their reactions in the box. Like that's what it's about. For us, it's a family affair, and to accomplish something like that as a family and having almost every single one of us there is why we do it.
Oh, I saw the video on X. I thought Andrew was going to go right out of the box.
I
Like
know.
he was up there and then he
It wasn't a
disappeared. I
very
thought he
wide
fell.
thing.
Yeah.
You mentioned about the stable being in existence going all the way back to 1926, Wheatley Stable, the whole lineage you were describing the latter part of. What does a Kentucky Derby win mean in the context of that century of racing?
I mean, I think there's really big races in America. The Breeders' Cup, all the Triple Crown races, any Grade 1 race, the Arc, there's really huge races around the world. In my mind, and I think in most people's, the Kentucky Derby is the pinnacle of the sport. And it's everybody's goal. Anytime, for me, I'm breeding a horse and you do a fetal sex check and it's a colt, and then it's born and it's healthy and things look good, and you follow it along for 3 years. Every time you're looking at that horse from the time that it hits the ground, you're like, could this be the one? Could this be the one? Could this be the one? And he was the one. And so that's special. That's very special to Claiborne Farm, who helped me with the mating. It's special to every single person that had their hand and heart on that horse throughout its life. It's the epitome.
It truly is. And
It's
I
the
think
goal.
I think we talked to a first question was like your family, but it's important to touch on the family of Golden Tempo, which I think has an unbelievable connection. The fact that his mare, Carumba, won just a few days at Aqueduct after your dad passed, and Ogden walked the horse into the winner's circle, and Jose was on the horse, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So
Yeah.
I think that is an unbelievable full circle moment.
Yeah.
What does that mean, especially, the family connection for you guys, the family connection for the horse? It went together and created this like perfect little story that we got
And
to
that
tell.
doesn't happen a lot, right?
No,
Like it really doesn't happen a lot. And that race at Aqueduct, the top flight, was supposed to be like the week earlier, and I think it was canceled for weather or something. My father passed away, and it was run the next weekend, like 4 days after he passed. It was the first Phipps stable horse to run and win after he passed away. She'll forever be in my heart. It brought joy to our family at a terrible time.
Amazing. It's just such a crazy full circle kind of moment. I wanted to talk to you about something you mentioned before when you're talking about when you're participating at the sales as buyer or seller versus homebreds. What goes into the decision making process of what to keep, what to sell, and what to breed to?
Well, what to breed to has been like a process forever, and it's changed over the years. That particular mating, Walker Hancock and Bradley Purcell and I did at Claiborne Farm, which I think is pretty cool too. That it was done in their office. I'm not sure. Usually we meet up in Saratoga, or we did it at Keeneland in the sales offices, not during sale time one time. But I think it's kind of cool that it was done in their offices too. And the mayor is there, and the mayor's mare is there, and the grand dam is there. It, for over the years. So I think that that's really neat.
Appropriately old school for sure. How did the St. Elias partnership come together?
So Vinny and St. Elias and Phipps Stable, we had partnered on another horse that we had sold at the September sale named Dynamic One, who Todd trained and also ran a Kentucky Derby, but didn't finish 17th. And when when Mike and Vinny bought that horse, and Vinny offered us a part of his, and we did that and campaigned that horse together and had a great time doing that. When we got to know each other a lot better, through that time, and Vinny and I had been talking about some different things, and my brother, and we had sort of said, what else can we do together? And we had 16 to 20 mares at the time, and we discussed partnering on the colts, and we did that. And so this was the first Golden Tempo's year. Was that crop was the first time year that it was every colt that was born out of a Phipps stable mare, St. Elias, we were 50-50. And it has been so much fun doing it with them. Their team is fantastic. John Sparkman, Monique Delk, and Teresa and Vinny. I can't say what a pleasure this has been campaigning this horse with them.
Vinny coming from the sports world, obviously, in the ownership side there, does that affect his energy, his approach to racing, having that major sport, sport with the letters background?
He loves horse racing. He loves the sport. He loves the breeding side. He is all in. He and his family. It's great to see, and it was a pleasure doing it with them this weekend. It's unlike any other partnership I can think of.
Well, you touched on it a little bit in the beginning, but like, tell us that last quarter mile. Like, did you think you were going to get up? Because my seats, I was on the infield, but right on the finish line. So I
You
couldn't
couldn't
tell.
see that far outside.
No, it was on the outside. There was no way I was seeing that. And when I looked up at the board, I'm like, ugh, ugh. All right. Well, good for them. Even being in it, I didn't even think you were coming close. Did you see it? Did you think it was
Yeah,
going to
I
happen?
watched it. I was watching it really closely, and I was watching him fly in the last furlong. I was like, please just get there. Please just get there. Please just get there. There's just so much going through your head. And we had all of our kids around, all the brothers and sisters. It's great. It was great. I mean, I couldn't have if I had to script it, I couldn't have scripted it in a better way.
And
I
everybody's eyes in some of these shots were like, uh, they were looking at each other like, did we? Didn't we? Like, it was so great.
a stretch run for the ages. I've had so many people, even just non-racing fans, talk to me about this, and they say, "What a great race!" I think it really captured, just on its face, the excitement of what a stretch run can look like in a race like the Derby. It must have been unbelievable to be participating in it. I have to ask the Cherie DeVaux question: how did she enter the picture?
So all the colts that are born, obviously they're St. Elias Phipps stable, and St. Elias's team of Monique and John Sparkman and the Violas. We kind of Monique lives in Ocala, so after they leave Claiborne, they go down there to Barry Eisenman's, and Monique lives down there, so she sees them train a lot. I go down a couple times, and we have a lot of conversations, and we sort of just decide what horse we think fits the trainers. Um, and we made a good choice there. Very good choice there.
No doubt. What about him specifically made you think Cherie?
She's real patient. We needed somebody patient with him. We normally ship horses out around this time to trainers, and he didn't go to her until like the end of October. He shipped to Keeneland, and he was kind of a pudgy little guy, and he just needed a little bit more time. And we knew that she was going to give him that time. And a few weeks after he was here, he shipped down to the fairgrounds, and that's where sort of the magic all started happening for him. And I think she campaigned him beautifully. And the conversation, throughout all of those races, he broke his maiden, he won the Lecomte. Then he went to the Risen Star, he finished third. Louisiana Derby, he finished third. But it was very clear in her mind and our minds the entire time that he didn't necessarily need to win those races because those weren't his preferred distance. What mattered was that they were prep races for the first Saturday in May. And I think a lot of people at that point maybe would have said, okay, maybe we're off the Derby trail. Maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Maybe, whatever. But she was like, she believed in the horse the entire time. We believed in her belief in the horse the entire time. And it was very clear to all of us that those were prep races for the Kentucky Derby. And his numbers kept getting better. He kept getting better. And that's a really rare thing for, any horse that you think is that kind of horse to be on that trail and continuing to improve without any issues.
That's a great point. Growth isn't always linear, but it was with him. And the
Yeah.
big step forward, it takes a great trainer to bring about that kind of improvement. And she may not be old school, but she has that old school mentality of
Yeah.
these races can be a means to an end. You see that in the way she campaigns these horses. You see that with Golden Tempo. We talked about your family's century-long connection to the history of racing. What about the history-making element, owning the first horse trained by a female trainer to win the Derby? Did that have any special resonance for you?
Of course. I think that's great. I love the sport. I love the history of the sport. I love what this is doing for the sport right now. I think it's fantastic. I think she's got a great way with people. I think she's done a phenomenal job with her interviews and stuff. I think she's a great ambassador for our sport right now. So it's special. The whole thing is special. It's pretty cool. Like Jose rode the dam of this horse. Like we're making him old like the rest of us.
And I think too, the fact that we sometimes need the hook for it to be a big story in this country. I mean, we have moments like this when horses come from behind and win big races all the time, and the connections are super excited, no matter if it's a grade one or a maiden claiming. And I think this was the little hook we needed for like national news to say this is the first woman to do it, and then we can tell the story and people will be further hooked. I
Yeah.
think it's really beneficial to the storytelling to have that aspect of it, and that was just kind of luck, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you couldn't plan for that, but that would have been what the PR people would have planned and the
Yeah.
marketing people. Like, you need a hook that's different than the other 151 derbies, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and she's not a mega trainer, right? Like she doesn't have a gazillion horses. She, it's special. It's really
Really.
special. It's her first Derby. She wanted to be in the Derby. She's not going to run a horse in the Derby if she doesn't think a horse has a chance in the Derby, which I 1,000% agree with. And she he looked great. He was doing great. He peaked at the right time, and that's hard to get a horse to do that. Very hard.
Very hard. What one racing business question for you in the time you've been around the Phipps operation? How has it changed? What are the biggest differences now between when you were little and going to the races?
The people change. I think a lot of the traditions are the same. The people change. We're one of the last breed to race operations out there. Um, that part isn't always easy until you have a golden tempo. It has changed. It has evolved. Um, it's harder for people like me to compete, definitely.
I'm imagining it felt like one of many trying to do the same thing. And now I'm not going to say you're on an island. There are others, but it's a rare thing. But as a old time racing fan, I mean, it just means something to me to see those colors out there. And I think a lot of horse players and a lot of just racing fans are particularly happy for the success of people who've put so much into the game like you guys have. And I would imagine a win like this makes the future look pretty bright.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's very exciting. It changes a lot of things, which I think are all super positive. And the fact that, all of our children are so excited about and Phipps Stable has been around for 100 years. Hopefully that means it's going to be around for at least another 50 or something. So that is, being in charge of Phipps Stable, it weighs heavy on me, always has weighed heavy on me, as it should, from a perspective of the industry and the fans. And so to win the biggest race in America um, is an unbelievable. I have a lot of pride in that.
Daisy, beyond breeding and racing operations and those responsibilities and the magnitude of them, of Phipps Stable, you're involved in a lot of aspects of the sport, including being a jockey club member and serving on a lot of different boards. What would you say, comes along with that? Obviously, your grandfather and your dad were both chairman of the jockey club. Some would consider you guys the first family of horse racing if you had to put a name to it. I had the honor of working under your dad, and he commanded a room and he cared so deeply and he put the horse first and the industry first. And in his tenure as chairman, so much of the industry initiatives that the Jockey Club funds today got rolling when he was there, investing in aftercare and equine safety, trying to grow the fans through ABR and investing in television, which is a world that you come from. That's just to name a few. Data, Equibase, all of that came under his tenure. I guess generally, what does your family's history in industry relations and industry initiative and leadership capacity mean to you as part of Phipps Stable?
Well, I'm incredibly proud of what my great grandmother, my grandfather, and my father have built, what they've meant to the industry, what the industry has meant to them. Um, and, you know, it, they loved it. They loved the game. They loved the sport. They loved the people in it, and wanted to see it succeed and do really well. And I think in a lot, they did, and they sacrificed a lot of their time and hours and all the things to make this industry a better place. And that also weighs heavy on me. And uh, I'm in awe of it, frankly.
When you think about the future of the sport, you think about the enthusiasm of the younger generation that you've been around. Does anything leap to your mind as things that we can help do to build off the success of having such a big positive national news story? Do you have any personal initiatives that you think racing should maybe get behind to help show the entire world and all the generations what a special sport it can be?
Well, I think a lot of it has been done, after since Saturday, and I think there's been a lot of phenomenal stories out there. Um, there's people that weren't involved in racing or didn't care before, but thankfully it was the Kentucky Derby and eyeballs are on that. Um, I think this a lot of things are being done behind the scenes to improve some of the negativity that has been going on and some of the criticism that's been going on. And I think that there is right now, I feel like there's a lot more almost cohesive unity moving in the right direction. And I think that that's awesome because we all love the sport. Everybody that's involved in the sport for the most part loves the sport. And I think our better days are in front of us, and I really, really look forward to that.
Great stuff. Shannon, anything else you wanted to ask or opine on or get off your chest here before we send it home?
No, I think just from like a personal standpoint, I just love stories like this. Having been a person whose family is racing, it means something to see another family whose it's their everything succeed. Like that's a win for all of us who it's our whole life. And that's a story we want to tell. Like that's the benefit of these long-standing family histories. I mean, you could say what you will about them and being in and seeing those names over and over, but the reason they're over and over is because it means something to us and we want to see it happen. So that was great as a young woman in the sport. I loved seeing it. I loved seeing connections of women, and Cherie was awesome. And I just think it's super exciting for the sport, and I hope that it just keeps blowing up. I think it's got to. The story's too good.
Daisy, a final thought from you?
No, I think Saturday was in my generation, and having and leading Phipps stable right now, I that was the greatest day of my life. That was the greatest day of my life. There's a lot of people that work really hard,
Mhm.
not just with our horses, with all those horses that were in the Kentucky Derby. There are a lot of hands and a lot of hearts since those days that foal was born, to get in the Kentucky Derby. And a lot of stuff has to go right, and a lot of people made that stuff go right, and I applaud them all for that. And it's special. It's a hard sport. It's hard to get there.
Well,
Amen to that.
wonderful to see that moment. Wonderful to follow the story as it develops. Daisy, Shannon, thank you guys so much for coming on here today, sharing your thoughts. We look forward to hearing from questions from some other people. If you want to know anything about the Phipps operation, maybe we can come back and do a follow-up here because I have a feeling that we're much closer to the beginning of this tale than the end. And thanks to everybody. That's the plan. That is all we have for this edition of the show. Want to thank Daisy one more time. We'll thank you, Shannon, our friends at the Jockey Club as well. The show's been a production of In the Money Media, and we will see you next time.